Hey, VC here. I want to talk about my first ever gravel race and how it was insanity. So let's just jump right into the story of the Rasputitsa, I don't know how to pronounce it. First ever gravel race. Let's get into it.
So let us walk right into the forest, to the trees and the rising sun. It is something we can't outrun. I do whatever it takes to hold you, whatever it takes to you. Wanna be in this game for two. When it all comes down, do you feel alive? Are you feeling lost? You were made to fly.
Alright, so the plan is to do Dirty Kansas in June, but I've never done a gravel race, so I was really trying to do more than no gravel races before Dirty Kansas. So then doing Belgian Waffle next weekend, and I had the opportunity to go to Vermont to do the Rasputitsa. Very cold. The name of it means mud season, I believe, so it's always usually very muddy. It says it's only 40 miles, so I was like, 40 miles is that's not a very long race. Should be easy, no big deal. So now I flew into Boston, and then from Boston, we drove towards Vermont. Very, northern. I mean, we're not far from the Canadian border.
If you want to, I'll get you flowers waiting around the bend. Baby, let's just pretend. I wanna stay like this forever. Wanna stay right here with you. Wanna stay right here with you. As the rest we fall until it all breaks down. But I need it so I will stay around. When you're all messed up, it's a great relief to be understood.
We get into Bruke, which is a very, very small town, and we're staying in this house that's like 200 years old. Very old house, 100% haunted. We were kind of exploring around, and like in our room, there's a little baby crib, super baby crib with like a rocking chair that's like right next to the crib. So for sure, Mama Ghost is like protecting the baby ghost, and it's like right at the foot of my bed. And then we check out this door which goes into the basement, and look, where I live, I don't have basements. I've never had a basement. Open this door to just the scariest place on earth, and so we kept going down there and exploring this basement, which has like this rock wall that's like blown out. Demon gremlin babies living in those rocks. I could just imagine every time I looked in a corner, there's just like a black figure standing there ready to kill me. Very scary. Okay, so then we don't have bikes. And I brought up my friend and coach, Tony Wolf, to do this together because I wasn't gonna know anyone. I kind of wanted someone to bounce the story off of a little bit. So he's there with me. Will, that's the guy who brought us out. That's our main contact. He's from Clifbar. Clifbar is a sponsor of the event. Will had provided specialized, the bouncy ones, the Verges. Like there's like shocks in it. That's what we're gonna ride. We're gonna ride specialized Diverges. And we made sure to get there on Friday with enough time that we could dial in the bikes and go for a ride. I really wanted to explore the surrounding area. So then we went to the bike shop that we thought they would be at, and they're like, no, we don't have your bikes. You know, they had probably have been shipped to the ski resort. So we go over to where registration, where the party's gonna be, where everything is gonna be happening for this gravel race. We get there and they're setting up everything. Like they had this hat making machine where you could make your own hats. Like you get these patches, you put them on this hat, and then they press them. And then I tried to be an innovator and just do all the patches like in a collage. Thought it was gonna come out really good. It didn't come out as good as what was in my mind. And they had like a farmer's market, a part of the event. I mean, just inside this like ski lodge, there was just so much going on. It was amazing. There's a restaurant in there. We kind of hung out in there for a little while, waiting for our bikes to come. We're waiting. Specialized lady tells us, your bikes are in New York. They're not here. Along with a whole other fleet of demo bikes from Specialized. So then we're like, okay, oh no. And my coach is like, Stretch Armstrong. So he has to ride a 61. So we have 61 bikes are really big bikes. They're not common. It's going to be very hard to find one for him. So one of the guys that works for Clifbar, he's on the phone with a shop.
Cervelo C3 coming and a 61 centimeter Canon L Synapse coming. Luckily I brought 2 extra sets of tires.
So then he arranges bikes to come to us, but they'll be here at 11 o'clock at night. That's not ideal, but at least we have bikes, right? So we have a backup plan, but we have no bikes. And I see Canyon. Out there unloading some grails. So I go over and I'm talking to Jeremiah Bishop, I believe is his name. And I was like, dude, I'm in a pickle. I don't have a bike to race tomorrow. I see you have a van full of them. Okay, what can we do? I was trying to get 2. There wasn't any sizes. He didn't have all the sizes. So I could only get 1, but I got one. I got a Grail. It was very big. The freaking Grail is a massive bike. Feels like a mountain bike without suspension. So we head back to the haunted 200-year-old house. I start kind of fitting my bike for me, for the Canyon Grail. Getting my pedals on there, getting the GoPro on there, getting the seat adjusted. But I'm not very picky, man. I don't care. It felt like a bike. I loved it. Felt great. We moved the haunted chair and the haunted baby crib out of our room, so we're not haunted. But do you see what we removed out of here?
The crib. The crib's gone. You guys jettisoned that real quick.
You should bring those back in.
No.
So we
that was the scariest part.
But you might have disturbed
we
the
were
spirits.
thinking it could go both ways. Like,
Right.
it might really piss them off, but it also might save us. Like, they might hang out there now.
At least you guys won't have the horror of knowing it's coming. It'll just happen. Things won't start rocking beforehand. You'll be like, whoa, man, that's weird. You'll just...
Me and Tony got to start in the very front. And bro, there was so many people. I've never seen so many people. It was crazy. But we're third row. I mean, we're right there in the front. Pouring rain. It's freezing cold. I am not very confident in my setup or anything. And I know I'm going to freeze. But bro, full send. Let's go. We go down the road. It's like a neutral rollout. Go through the town of Burke. It's so cold. I mean, literally in the first minute, I was like, I can't feel my fingers already. Boy, this is gonna be difficult. And I had honestly been anticipating a very technical race. It's just slomping through mud, lots of hike and bike, single trail. That's what was in my mind. So we hit basically where the race starts. And everyone's kind of battling for position to get up front. And we're on the road, and dude, we're full gas. I mean, I didn't have a power meter on, but just on perception, I would say we're probably doing something 300 to 450 watts for the first while. Everyone's trying to be up front. And I'm like, dude, this is intense. Now, I downloaded the map to my Wahoo so I can see the route and I can see the profile, so I can see where climbs are, but I don't know the terrain, right? That's the biggest part of it. It's the terrain you're on. So we're going over the road, and then finally we turn onto the first dirt road. But I mean, it's been pouring rain. It's not really muddy, to be honest. I mean, it's soft, but it's not technical. It's not difficult. But man, the front group of 20, they started taken off. And when I look back on this, I wish that I had the wherewithal to go full gas and stay with that front group. But I had no clue what I was in store for. I had no idea. I thought we were going to be doing some serious technical stuff later on. So I kind of wanted to save my energy. I don't know, dude. I had no clue. But for sure, now that I look back on it, there was so much just, access road or fire road. That staying with a group, like you roll so much faster as a group. I should have been with that front group. I should have bridged to them, but I didn't. So the front group goes, and then me and like a couple guys are sort of stuck in no man's land. And then I ended up bridging to another little no man land group. But the first 20, 30 minutes were just, you were, it was very fitnessy, not technical. Like if you had good fitness, you're going to be doing a lot better. And also the bike choice. Dude, if you were on a fat bike or a bike with really big tires or your pressure was low, dude, you're at such a huge disadvantage. But my bike setup, I had 60 PSI in the tires. I felt great. It rolled good, rolled fast. So me and like two guys are chasing the front group, and we hit the first really technical section. Super muddy. You really got to pay attention to your line. If you unclip, it's so difficult to really get back on and going when the mud's so sloshy. And so then I'm thinking, dude, this is it. Like, this is the rest of the race. It's only 40 miles because 40 miles of it's like this. Then there's a whole section where like hard pack ice snow road. So I'm trying not to ride on the snow because it's super snowy and slick. So then I'm like in the gutter on the right. It was so much fun though. Just so much mud and like crazy chaos. And this is what I had been expecting, is so much of this, right? Where it doesn't really matter if you're in a group or not, because it just all comes down to skill. We get out of that section, and then, I don't know, man, for the rest of the race, wasn't really anything else like that. And now they did change the course last minute because of some of the roads were just so bad. And so, maybe they cut out some other technical sections. But me and the two other guys we were with ended up getting caught by a huge group of guys, like 35 guys. And I was like, oh man, I thought we were going fast. And we just got caught by these guys. So then we're like in a group of 35, and we're not really going to catch the front group. I think the front group was a couple minutes up the road. But we are in a group that is racing. Maybe any other group behind us, maybe they've kind of given up on racing. They're just trying to survive. But we're racing. We hit climbs. There's some like attacks. There's some efforts. But the roads are not bad. For the weather conditions, dude, it's no big deal. Like, anyone can ride this. But bro, we're climbing and we're climbing and we're climbing, and it is starting to get really cold, and then it's starting to snow. And then we're getting closer and closer to the top of this climb, and bro, it's just like we're forging our way to the north to defend the wall against the White Walkers.
Winter is coming. Winter is coming. Winter is coming. Winter is coming.
That's all right, I'm fine.
You're not. You're freezing.
And it's just one of those things where it's like, God, this sucks. But you're also like, God, this is such a good story and this is epic. And I almost want it to snow more just because I feel like we're going into battle. It was very, very cool. But it has been pretty much raining or snowing the whole time. And so my gloves, I would squeeze my gloves and water would just pour out. And now we're gonna go downhill. My fingers smoked. To the point where I really feel like a lot of guys had to think, I'm willing to cause permanent damage to my hands, to stay with this group, to keep on racing. Because out of like something close to 2,000 people, you know, we're top 20 to 30, top 20 to 35, something like that. It got so freaking cold that my brain wouldn't work. It wasn't working. I had to watch my hand shift because I couldn't feel anything. So I was like, ugh, just like my whole arm just trying to shove the shifting. It was nuts, dude. But the other thing is I'm thinking, it's only 40 miles. And like we're cooking. Like we're going pretty fast. So I'm in my mind thinking, bro, like 2 hours? 3 hours maybe? I mean, that's not that bad, right? That's not that hard. Just get through this cold. And so then we sort of get to maybe the last like 10, 15 miles of the race. And there's a pretty good little climb. And then there were some attacks that started to come out of that. And that's when our group of like 35 blew apart. And I just barely made like the front 6 guys out of this group. And I was in my head just thinking, this is the race. This is the race. Like, you gotta go, you gotta go, you gotta go. So I got on their wheel. And man, they were so good at descending. I could not feel my hands though, so I didn't know how to like modulate pressure on the front brake. So when we got over this climb and we're flying down the hill, I might be full front brake, and I'm just gonna friggin' send myself into Foxville. I was just very cautious on the descents. I lost their wheel several times, and so then I had to kind of like power back on, get back onto the wheel. But I felt great. Felt really good on climbing, and fitness was totally there, because it's like either you're climbing and you're going pretty much as hard as you can, or you're just surviving because you're freezing to death. So I don't really know what place I'm in at this point, but I can see on the profile what's coming up. And I see there's a massive climb, a super steep climb. And then that's pretty much the finish. We hit the climb, and it pretty much just sort of breaks apart there. There's like 6 guys, 2 go pretty much up the road, and I tried to just settle in because it's such a long climb. Really tried to settle into a pace that I knew I could finish strong with. There was signs along this final climb that was like, remember you paid for this, remember bikes are fun, you know, the quicker you finish, the quicker there's beer. And the finish is just right there, but then it takes you on this left through a very technical section, super muddy. I plow through that, but I'm just like, I'm so cold. And I'm kind of in no man's land, like I'm always am. And so then I kind of get off the bike and I'm pushing and I see the finish. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so ready to be done. And so then I come around like the last turn, and this guy just all of a sudden from nowhere like bumps me up on the inside, and now it's like a 2-up sprint to the finish for 25th. And he nipped me at the line by not even half a wheel, like a bike throw. It's crazy, but he got me. And so I got 26th out of whatever it was, like 1,500 people.
Good job, guys.
Dude, oh, I'm sorry. Oh my god. Oh my god. Dude. Oh, the hands are frozen. Hands are frozen. I am frozen. Everything's frozen. Oh my god. Ugh. My feet are good. I had bell toes on. Actually, everything about me was decent. It was just my hands. Completely numb. So then I go into the bathroom and I turn on the water and I just stick my hands in like what essentially would be cold water. Like I didn't really put on the hot side. It was, you know, if you were just normal, you'd be like, oh, this is pretty cold water. But since I was so cold, it felt like it was piping hot. And I just stuck my hands in there. It pretty much experienced very high levels of pain as I started to de-thaw. I was like, it was so painful that I tried to walk around. I kept walking around to get away from my hands because they were so painful, but I couldn't get away from my hands. So it was so funny because I'm just walking around. I'm like, my hands. But once you come out of that, once you de-thaw, is that you're full of all this, I hate life. But when those feelings go away, what's replaced is just pure joy and just like euphoria. And so then they had some food, which they did have a vegan option. They had like this vegan bean thing that was really delicious. They had French fries and they had some kind of vegan salad. So like, I was stoked. I was eating that. I had some coffee, shivering uncontrollably though. Just shivering, like splashing coffee everywhere. I was so friggin' cold. And this is after I'm like starting to warm up. Just my core body temperature just plummeted. Yeah, good?
It was awesome. Like the race was, like, it was really fun. Some mechanical issues, but otherwise, you know, it was up.
What was the hardest part?
I think it was dealing with cold hands, cold feet, you know. And I think everybody at a point had to stop to warm up their hands, and it was just, but after that, the course was perfect. Everything was rideable, so it was great. You know, you didn't even have to walk. That's good.
Yeah.
It was great. I wasn't expecting snow, but it was harder than last year. Like just the conditions were harder.
I had sand in my eyes. I had like just frozen and kind of shut down a little bit, but I'm good with it. You know, I'm good with it. Because there's some people out there getting like their fingers chopped off right now. You know, amputated. And, okay, maybe not that bad, but there's some serious DNF.
A lot of guys lost their brakes. Like my coach Tony, he lost his brakes as well, and he had to try to fix them. I didn't lose brakes. I had no mechanicals whatsoever. I didn't even bring a tube with me. I just thought, if my bike breaks down, we'll just probably call it. You know, I'm not trying to fix my bike in the snow and the rain and the mud. So, but I didn't. I had no issues. The Grail has like a 2-bar setup. I didn't really use the top bar very much. I don't know. It felt great. I mean, it was a good bike. It's just very beefy. You know, the Grail seems like more of a bike for single trail or some really aggressive gravel road, not just like farm roads. The area which this race is phenomenal. I'd love to go back there when it wasn't snowing, raining, mud, cold, because I bet it's just some of the best riding ever. I will 100% be back next year, and I will be looking for top 10 for sure. But if you're thinking about doing this event, or I guess my takeaway is that it's honestly not as technical as maybe it was made out to be. I was very worried about that. I've said that a few times. Other than like 2 sections, wasn't that bad. There's a lot of climbing. It's definitely a climber's thing. But if you have power, if you have endurance, it's not that bad. It's just the weather. It's just the elements. So if I had really nice gloves on, I might not have had any issues whatsoever, right? Better gloves makes this whole event and whole experience 10 out of 10. But I really like this one. Rasputitsa, however you say it. Phenomenal event. Next time, make it not snow. But I don't know. I almost feel like the fact that it was snowing just makes it such an amazing event. Like that is so much more a part of it, is battling the elements. Also, a huge thank you to my coach Tony for coming out and hanging with me. Will from Clifbar for arranging this whole trip and getting me out there. The Rasputitsa, I'm sorry if I'm butchering it, event, phenomenal. And Canyon, thank you for getting me a bike last minute, dude. What's funny is that when I got done, as soon as I crossed the finish line, the guy from Canyon like ran over and was like pulling my stuff off the bike almost immediately, right? Like they were like, no extra miles are going to be put on this bike. They took it back from me real quick. I was kind of hoping maybe they'll just let me take it home. They did not. They did not. Anyway, this is my first gravel race. It was a proper one. Thanks for watching. As always, Beacon Cyclist. Yeah.